Hey, History Through Film. Welcome to Unit 2. Woohoo! We finally made it past the first unit. All right, so this is U2-L1, Intro to Unit 2, Women in U.S. History. So that's the theme for Unit 2. Student learning goals. Students will be able to comprehend the topics we will be covering in the Unit 2, Women in U.S. History. Your job, you're going to watch this video and answer the questions that are in blue text. So, first question for you. There are two movies that we will be watching this unit. The first one is A League of Their Own. So this is like the 1980s version of A League of Their Own. And then we also have Hidden Figures. So have you seen either of these movies? And it's okay if you haven't, just say I haven't. All right, so first, let's start off with A League of Their Own. I also abbreviate A League of Their Own into ALOTO. So this takes place during World War II. Many of you are 11th and 12th graders, so you've already learned about World War II. So name two things you know about World War II. Then we have Hidden Figures, which I abbreviate to HidFig. And this takes place during the 1960s. This is an era when the civil rights movement is at its peak. It is also the era when the U.S. is competing with the USSR/Soviet Union/Russia. Okay, they're all the same country. Today we call Russia Russia, but it used to also be called the Soviet Union or the USSR. For sending spacecrafts into space, also known as the space race. We'll see racism, sexism, and segregation in this movie. So, name two things you know about the civil rights movement, segregation, Jim Crow, NASA, or the space race. All right, then let's take a look at our weekly schedules of what is happening here in Unit 2. So here's the calendar for Unit 2. You're probably looking at this and going, oh my gosh, what the heck is this calendar? There's so much. I know, again, these units are pretty big, but we'll break it down little by little. So for week 1, this is the week we are currently on. You're watching this video right here. Then we'll do an Intro to World War II video choice. That's where there's going to be 4 videos. You just need to choose 2 of them to watch and answer the questions on. U2-L3, Women World War II reading. That is a reading about women and their perspective in World War II. It's a primary source reading. So you're going to read whichever one you choose and answer the questions. Then you're going to do U2-L4 discussion about baseball. You're going to read an article and then respond to that article on a discussion post on Schoology. U2-L5, intro to the AAGPBL, which means the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. So we'll get introduced to that. Then you're going to watch U2-L6, A Team of Their Own documentary. And then you'll continue that into the next day. And then we have U2-L8, AAGPBL primary source reading. So there's a couple of readings that you can choose that are actually primary sources of women who played in the league. Then U2-L9 is the baseball video choice. Again, that is, I believe I give you 4 videos. You need to watch 2 of them. U2-L10 is Intro to A League of Their Own. So I'll just introduce some of the characters and stuff like that. So it's easier for you to know who is who. Then moving on to week 3, we have U2-L11, which is A League of Their Own. And you're going to continue A League of Their Own throughout this whole week here. Then going into week 4, we're going to switch gears and we're going to get prepped up for Hidden Figures. So we're going to do U2-L15, Jim Crow. U2-L16, Jim Crow of the North. Then we're going to continue that the next day. Then we have Intro to Hidden Figures, which again is just me going to go through some of the characters and stuff like that. I don't have another assignment for the 14th, so that's just going to be a work time day. And then in week 5, we will start Hidden Figures. So we'll do that throughout the whole week 5. We'll end week 5 with U2-L23, the Hidden Figures video choice. So that's about real hidden figures. Like the people in the movie are based on real people, but this is actually a little bit more in depth. And then we will do week 6 with the Intro to the Unit 2 summative video and then the Unit 2 summative. Then you'll have 2 days of work time and then it's Thanksgiving break. And that will be due at the end of Thanksgiving break. Wow, that is a lot. So what questions do you have about the schedule for this unit? And if you don't have any, that's just fine. Just say none. All right, so before I let you continue on to U2-L2, let's talk through your summative. I want you to have an idea of what your summative is so you can mentally prepare for what content I will be looking for in your summative. Feel free to take notes and write ideas as you go throughout the lessons in Unit 2. Again, kind of the same thing with Gladiator. You can take notes, write down ideas. I'm not going to be like collecting or grading anything when it comes to like notes and stuff like that, but it's helpful, especially if you're forgetful like I am, to be completely honest. All right, let's take a look at the summative, shall we? All right, let's zoom in a little bit. All right. So, Unit 2 Summative Directions, Women in U.S. History. So since this is an online class, instead of making a poster, you're going to make an infographic. An infographic is a visual representation of information that a person can read quickly and clearly. It also uses designs, colors, and photos or drawings that help get the message across to the viewer. Here are some real-life examples if you don't know what an infographic is. For this infographic, you're going to choose one woman who is historically significant in the history of the U.S., so of the United States. You're going to give me a brief summary of that woman, a brief summary of the League of Their Own, a brief summary of Hidden Figures, and then 2 connections from the movies to the historical women you chose. So your first step is to choose a historical woman. Here are the requirements for your historical woman. The historical woman cannot be one of the historical figures we talked about in the class or in the 2 movies we watched. The historical woman must be someone who has had an impact on the United States. She does not have to be a U.S. citizen, but she needs to have a connection to the U.S. The woman you chose can be dead or alive. And if you're struggling to think of a historical woman, think of women actors, athletes, politicians, activists, celebrities, authors, and more, or ask me. I can certainly help you out too. I know last year I had some kids that did like Queen Elizabeth and like Joan of Arc. And I was like, no, you can't do those women because they didn't have anything to do with the US, really. All right, so once you thought of a historical woman, you're just going to put it on this document here. You can't repeat the same historical woman as another student. So if another student has that, already chose that woman, you got to choose someone else. Sorry about that. And then step 3, you're going to create your infographic. Canva typically is the easiest, to be completely honest with you. And then you are going to have the following requirements about your historical woman on your infographic. So you got to name her, you need a picture of her, and then 3 bullet points explaining the significance of your historical woman. Step 5 is that you are going to need 2 bullet points explaining the history of the AAGPBL, which we'll learn about. 3 bullet points explaining the plot line of A League of Their Own, and then 1 picture. Step 6, you're going to do the same thing, but with Hidden Figures. So you're going to get 2 bullet points explaining the history of Jim Crow / redlining / segregation in the U.S. Again, we'll talk all about that in a few weeks. 3 bullet points explaining the plot line of Hidden Figures, and then 1 picture. And then step 7 is to make the connections between your historical women and the movies. So you have to answer both of these questions. How does the movie A League of Their Own connect to your historical women? And how does the movie Hidden Figures connect to your historical women? And if you're having troubles with that, here's kind of a list that I created to help you kind of think of things. Then you're going to proofread your infographic because a lot of times students don't, and there's a lot of spelling mistakes, and that's sad. Then you're going to submit it into the Unit 2 summative link Dropbox, but of course that's not until what, like over a month, almost a month and a half from now, and stuff like that. So the reason why I am explaining this to you is because since these are such big units, it's kind of hard to remember what we talked about at like week 1, right? Because this unit goes in 6 weeks. So this way you kind of have an idea as you're watching these movies, as you are doing the formative assignments, you have an idea and you can start thinking about what you may want to put into your summative. So for the nitty-gritty stuff about the summative, don't worry about it now. I just wanted to walk you through it so you know what the summative is. You can jot down maybe some notes or some ideas that you have as you go through our lessons in Unit 2. Alrighty, let's see here. Let's get back to our slideshow. All right, let's wrap this up. So if you have any questions, please email me. Next up, you will do U2-L2 Intro to World War II video choice. You must choose video A and then answer the questions. And then you're going to choose just one of the other 3 videos to watch and answer those questions. So total of 2, watch A, and then choose one more. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.